ladies and gentlemen, this is TVP World. You're watching another edition of Break the Fake, where we debunk fake news and combat false narratives. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and let's get rolling. The Kremlin's talking heads recently dropped another accidental truth bomb. They say they just can't imagine a world where, after a truce, Zelensky gets to do whatever he wants, where Ukraine lives how it wants, where Ukrainians actually have democracy. In other words, their worst-case scenario is a normal life.
Территория это очень важно, это конкретно, это земля под ногами. Но не менее важно, а что, собственно, произойдет на следующий день после какого-то примирения или какой-то остановки военных действий? Будет ли в данном случае эта Украина той самой бандеровской Украиной, которой она стала за это время? Будет ли по-прежнему угнетаться русский язык, русский человек, русская песня, русское слово, русская православная церковь на Украине? Вот это для нас, мне кажется, очень важно, и это надо донести до Соединенных Штатов, до руководства Соединенных Штатов. Именно это было первопричиной, и именно этого надо добиваться, потому что невозможно себе представить, что после того, как замолчат пушки, по-прежнему в Киеве будут порядки, при которых Зеленский делает то, что он хочет, и с Конституцией, и с демократией, и с оппозицией, и с национальными большинствами, меньшинствами и так далее. Вот это, мне кажется, очень важная сторона дела, которая многими упускается, сосредоточенным на вопросе территориальных разменов, что останется, что будет, что можно получить и так далее.
So let's just drop the theater. The war was never about NATO, biolabs, or any of the Kremlin's recycled fairy tales. It's about preventing Ukraine from existing as a sovereign democratic state outside of Moscow's control. A free Ukraine is a direct threat to Putin's system, not because it invades, but because it proves Russia's dictatorship isn't inevitable. For a regime built on fear, lies, and loyalty to a throne, a functioning democracy next door is intolerable. It sets a dangerous precedent that people can reject authoritarianism, change their government, and live without asking anyone's permission to do so. And Putin's only answer to losing influence is to try to destroy the example. How else are they going to explain to their own subjects why democracy is possible in Ukraine but not in Russia? It was easier to say that democracy was a threat and go rescue their neighbor from itself. The moral of the story is simple. The greatest fear of an authoritarian regime is not NATO tanks on the border, but free people behind the fence. Georgia's ruling party, the Georgian Dream, has released a new election video that puts the tone deaf in campaign strategy. Their big idea? Splicing together black and white footage of Ukrainian cities leveled by Russian bombs. A funeral procession, destroyed homes, war graves, and cutting to bright, colorful shots of Georgia's peaceful landscapes. All set to the slogans, "No to war" and "Choose peace." The formula is simple and depressingly familiar. Take someone else's suffering, strip it of context, and use it as a political mood board. No discussion about what peace actually means. No mention of what caused war, just a visual guilt trip. Before, Kharkiv under Shilling. After, Batumi at sunset. If this keeps up, their next campaign video might feature footage from Fallujah with a voiceover saying, "Isn't it nice that we don't have this in Tbilisi?" The Georgian Dream says it plans to sweep all 64 municipalities in the October local elections. Now, judging by the tactics, the playbook is clear. Crank up the war imagery abroad, polish the peace at home, and never ever mention who's responsible for the destruction. Because for Georgian Dream, choose peace really means don't rock the boat with Russia. They still maintain the facade of not engaging directly with Moscow, which, for the record, still illegally occupies 20% of Georgian territory. But strangely, the party keeps aligning itself with Russian interests anyways. And that's starting to look like a losing bet, because even Russia's former allies in the region, Armenia and Azerbaijan, have started working towards peace without Moscow in the room. That recent breakthrough, brokered by Donald Trump of all people, Russia wasn't even invited. So maybe Georgian Dream should look around. These days, the road to peace in the Caucasus isn't paved with silence, it's paved by leaving Russia behind. Russia's historical club just welcomed a fresh face to its fantasy league. Collaborator Pavel Gubarev has joined Vladimir Medinsky's ever-expanding circle of alternative facts. Now, Gubarev has a degree in history from Donetsk National University, which you think means he knows history is a science, not an improv set. But judging by his latest comments, it looked like he's majored in historical fiction. This time, Gubarev announced that once upon a time, Poles were also Russians until they become Catholics. Yeah, really. In his worldview, if you don't bow to the Moscow Patriarchate, you lose your Russian essence, which means the next logical step is probably declaring that kangaroos were also Russian until they stop hopping away from the Orthodox liturgy.
Украинство – это разложение, разрезание, отрезание ломти от куски русского народа. Когда-то поляки тоже были русскими. Когда-то далеко, пока они не стали католиками и, не осознали себя нацией. Когда-то славяне же это единое племя было.
Now, if we continue along his logical treadmill, it all makes sense, sort of. Slavs were once one tribe, then came the Peloponesians, and so on and so forth, who, in Gubarev's vision of history, were probably Russians before they strayed. The whole theory kind of boils down to this. The entire planet was originally Russian until people started speaking different languages, practicing different religions, or heaven forbid, turning off Solovyov. If this is the new academic standard, we'd better prepare for future Russian textbook to feature chapters like how Russians discovered America, why the Great Wall of China was built to keep out the Russians, and Napoleon actually named Ivan. 25 years under Putin's leadership and Russians still haven't recovered. Although if you believe television, every day was a step towards getting back on their feet. But for some reason, the only thing that's gotten back on its feet are the price tags in stores, and now the time has come for a real breakthrough. Blocking calls on WhatsApp and Telegram, as well as soaking pride in the domestic digital industry, Russia's homegrown messaging app, Max. Now, this isn't just an IM app, it's a messaging platform that's like a proper Soviet cafeteria. There's no choice and everything is under control.
Думаю, правильно все делают. Молодцы, ребята. Так держать. Скоро заживем.
А вот что именно вы считаете причиной этой блокировки?
Недружественные страны, думаю, причина, конечно. Чтобы влияние на нас не оказывали, надо заблокировать, считаю.
А вы пользуетесь мессенджером Макс?
Да.
Нравится?
Очень. Я рад, что наши такое додумались сделать сами, без сторонней помощи, молодцы.
А как связь там работает?
Замечательно вообще. Ловят там, где только не ловят.
So as you can see, Russians are happy with the new app. Honestly, they look more scared than grateful, because in Russia, you can't say anything bad about anything. Now, Russia is the best, and if you're not grateful enough, expect a call from an FSB agent on your new Max Messenger. The Russian officials have already assured us that with Max, life will be better and more fun. And that's true if your idea of fun is a group chat where everyone is automatically added to a bot run by a state communications watchdog. Max isn't just an app, it's a new worldview. It has no unnecessary features like international calls or encryption. Instead, it has a built-in calendar with reminders about all the president's upcoming speeches and a feature that automatically checks emojis for unreliability. They're saying now Russians will definitely prosper, just like in North Korea, with no unnecessary contacts, no foreign opinions, no free internet, but with a great sense of pride that their messenger knows more about them than their own grandmother does. And with that, we conclude this edition of Break the Fake. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.